What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another edition of the Not Dead Podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Simulmania and Dustin.
Yep, that's
Dustin,
me.
how you doing, brother?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good as I stupidly pointed right at you thinking you could see, and you were just going to say Dustin. So that was stupid me. My fault. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Simulmania and Dustin, we're bringing this show to you. And lots to cover this week, should I say? We're going to talk about the WWE draft that took place last Friday and last Monday, and we're going to talk about AEW versus WWE next Friday. But let's get things kicked off with a heck of a way to start things, ladies and gentlemen. The Rock, wrestler, actor, rapper. What?
John Cena wannabe?
See, Dustin seems to think that The Rock wants to be John Cena. For those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, I'm about to play you a little snippet of The Rock rapping. I'm not going to play the full verse. If you want to go listen to the verse, go listen to the whole song. It's by Tech Nine. It's called Face Off. And my God, it is amazing. Not just the Rock's verse, but the entire song as a whole is really, really good. So here's a little snippet for those of you that want to hear this. Here you go. They gon' take your face off. They gon' rumble. They gon' take your face off. They gon' rumble. They gon' take your face off. They gon' rumble. They gon' take your face off.
It's about drive. It's about power. We stay hungry. We devour. Put in the work. Put in the hours and take what's ours. Like.
So there you go. There's a snippet of The Rock's rapping. And actually, I have to correct a lot of people on this one because a lot of people are saying it's The Rock's debut rap. And that's not true. The Rock has, in fact, rapped before. Dustin, do you recall this?
Yeah, he did some. I mean, I know he did a lot of musical acts when he was in wrestling too, but
Well, he sang in WWE, yes, but what I'm talking about is he did a song called Pie with Slick Rick, and he also did a song with Wyclef Jean called "It Doesn't Matter." Now, in the song "It Doesn't Matter," nah, he didn't really rap. He just said "It doesn't matter," and then Wyclef would come up with the rest of the lyrics. Um, so he didn't really do much in that song except just say it doesn't matter. So Face Off really it showed his rap skills because in Pie he sort of rapped, but it was like a comedy rap. This one, he wasn't comedy rapping. In this one, he was straight up going with the bars. I mean, he was doing really good. He said, black and Samoan in my veins, my culture running with strange music, which is Tech Nine and all his buddies. What'd you think of the song, Dustin? What'd you think of
I
what
mean,
you heard?
as much shit as I give it, it was decent.
Yeah, I think the whole song is really really good. Like everybody,
Yeah, I mean, it flowed together nicely.
it did. It really did. And I think this was Joey Cool. I think this was his like debut, and he came in with a punch. He came in really really solid. So shout out to Joey Cool. Tech Nine, obviously. Uh, Tech Nine is obviously one of the best rappers I think out there. Spirit of a Lion just blind. Or, the way he started off, he said like "Spirit of a Lion describes my soul," and then he said something. I can't remember exactly what he said. Just go and listen to it, folks. You'll hear it. It's awesome. I absolutely adored it. It was one of my favorite songs out there right now. Tech Nine, The Rock, Joey Cool, and King ISO. Y'all did your thing on that. Congratulations. Any other thoughts on this song, Dustin?
Nah, not a whole lot. I mean, it's not my cup of tea, but like I said, it's decent.
It's a good workout song. That's for dang sure. Like you go to a workout, like you go to a gym. That's the song you put on. You're gonna bang you're gonna get a lot of. You're not gonna bang. You're gonna get a lot of exercises out there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's got a
Like you're
good
gonna.
up hype tempo to it.
Yeah, let me. When I say that, when I say you're gonna bang, I mean you're gonna bang a couple of reps out. You're listening to that song, and then at the end of the song, he shouts out Tech Nine. The Rock does. He shouts out Tech Nine, and he also says, "Thank you, Terramana." And somebody tosses him a bottle of Terramana tequila, and he takes a sip. And actually, he says this was one take, so that's even cooler. I mean, if it was one take, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive. He did a lot better than I thought he was going to do as a rapper. It's funny because I was just on YouTube just the other night. What was it, Thursday night maybe? And I just on YouTube just kind of screwing around, and I saw I saw one of the people I'm subscribed to say, "Face Off." Tech Nine, King ISO, Joey Cool, and Dwayne Johnson? What? And so I'm like, wait, The Rock? So I click on it, and sure enough, it was The Rock. I'm like, no way. And so that's kind of how I found out about it. Anyway, so there you go. Yes, The Rock is now rapping, apparently, so we'll see where that leads him. He might be trying to be the next John Cena, as Dustin says. Uh, Doubt it. But also, what happened, ladies and gentlemen, this week was a draft took place in the WWE world. Dustin, have you heard about any of these picks?
Yeah, I've kind of. I really. I mean, it's funny that I'm on this podcast when I hardly keep up with the current day wrestling because it's trash.
Well, let's run through these picks real quick, and then we can just discuss them after. So, for the first night, for round one of the draft, SmackDown, this was on SmackDown, these wrestlers were selected. So, Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman were drafted to SmackDown, and Roman is the Universal Champion. The WWE Champion, Big E, was drafted to Raw, and Big E moves from SmackDown to Raw. Charlotte Flair, this was a surprise one for me. Charlotte Flair, the Raw Women's Champion, is moving from Raw to SmackDown. Bianca Belair is going to move from SmackDown to Raw. Drew McIntyre is moving from Raw to SmackDown. RK Bro is going to stay on Raw. RK Bro is Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. What? You still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard you say something. The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They're moving from Raw to SmackDown, which is funny because their other buddy, Big E, is moving from SmackDown to Raw. Keep those three apart, I guess. Edge is going to move from SmackDown to Raw. Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss are going to stay on SmackDown. Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley, they're going to stay on Raw. The Hit Row is moved from NXT to SmackDown. Hey, Dustin, have you ever heard of Hit Row?
Very minimal.
They're really good. I like this act. I think this act will be really good on SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean they've got to freshen up the shows. They have to.
Oh, these guys will definitely freshen up SmackDown. SmackDown, oh yeah, they'll definitely bring a younger vibe to it. Keith Bearcat Lee, I should say, is going to stay on Raw. Naomi is going to stay on SmackDown. Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio are going to go from SmackDown to Raw. Jeff Hardy is going to go from Raw to SmackDown, and Austin Theory, well, he's going to go from NXT to Raw. And the supplemental draft picks that occurred right after this are Akira Tozawa staying on Raw, Aaliyah moving from NXT to SmackDown, Alpha Academy moving from SmackDown to Raw, Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz also moving from SmackDown to Raw, Dewdrop is going to stay on Raw, Drake Maverick is going to stay on Raw, Drew Gulak is going to move from Raw to SmackDown. I hope they do something with him. John Morrison's going to stay on Raw. Mace is going to stay on, Mace is going to move from Raw to SmackDown. Mansoor is going to move from Raw to SmackDown. Mustafa Ali as well, moving from Raw to SmackDown. Nia Jax is going to stay on Raw. R-Truth's going to stay on Raw. Reggie's going to stay on Raw. T-Bar's going to stay on Raw. Tony Storm's going to stay on SmackDown. And Zelina Vega's going to move from SmackDown to Raw. Any thoughts on those draft picks?
Pretty boring. Nothing really stood out. Nothing really.
Charlotte moving from SmackDown to Raw, or from Raw to SmackDown.
They just.
I mean, she's the Raw Women's Champion. They moved her from Raw to SmackDown. That's a bit of big news. That's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to do something to try and spice things up and change different storylines because they've got different ones coming up. But
Edge is also moving to Raw. That was a big move, and so was Drew.
Yeah, obviously you're going to have one of the main heavyweight champions on one show and one on the other. I mean, that was evident.
Yeah. Night 2 of the draft, which took place this past Monday on Raw. Becky Lynch is moving from SmackDown to Raw. Usos are going to stay on SmackDown. Now, see, the funny thing about the Usos being drafted to SmackDown, they're going to stay on SmackDown, that's obvious. But the funny thing is that they teased that they could potentially move to Raw, and they told Paul Heyman, what?
No, they're going to keep them and Roman together.
Yeah, but they're
building that bloodline story.
Yeah, and that's a good story. I love that story. I bought 2 Roman Reigns shirts and a Roman Reigns hoodie, by the way. But I was going to say that the Usos, they threatened Paul. They said, Paul, you better make sure that the family stays together or else it's your ass. And they said that to him at the start of Raw. They should have kept that thing going all night. Make Paul Heyman sweat it out a little bit. But they got
I think they're going to... The way I see the storyline playing, especially with Brock, is, they're kind of got Heyman caught in the crosshairs of each other.
Yeah. Staying on Raw is the Hurt Business, Lashley and MVP. Sasha Banks is going to stay on SmackDown. Seth Rollins is moving from SmackDown to Raw. So, hey, we'll get Edge and Seth, except instead on SmackDown, it'll be on Raw now. So how about that? King Nakamura and Rick Boogs are going to stay on SmackDown. I don't like this Boogs guy. He's too goofy. He's way too over the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, if you think about it, I mean, I'm going to take it back a little further to the historical part of WWE. You remember you probably won't remember 95. That was one of their low years.
That's when they had all those career jobbers, right?
Yeah, and it's got a blaring similarity of what's going on in current WWE right now.
Yeah, I could see that. Damian Priest is going to stay on Raw. And by the way, King Nakamura is the Intercontinental Champion, and Damian Priest is the United States Champion, so they stay on their respective brands. But Becky Lynch is the SmackDown Women's Champion, in case I didn't say that. Sheamus is going to move from Raw to SmackDown. Styles and Omos, AJ Styles and Omos, are going to stay on Raw. Shayna Baszler is moving from Raw to SmackDown. Kevin Owens is moving from SmackDown to Raw. Xia Li is going to move from NXT to SmackDown. The Street Profits are going to move from SmackDown to Raw, so they're going to keep the couples together. That's kind of cool. Viking Raiders are moving from Raw to SmackDown. Finn Balor is moving from SmackDown to Raw. Ricochet is moving from Raw to SmackDown. Karrion Kross is going to stay on Raw. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo are going to move from Raw to SmackDown. Alexa Bliss stays on Raw. Cesaro stays on SmackDown. Carmella moves from SmackDown to Raw. Ridge Holland moves from NXT to SmackDown. Gable Stevenson, Olympic gold medalist. Gable Stevenson, legit Olympic gold medalist. He goes from being a free agent to getting signed to Raw. That's a pretty big pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he'll do, but he's going to get put he's going to get the rocket put on him pretty quickly. It looks like because they're putting him on Raw. I mean,
Well, Raw's on life support.
yeah, Raw needs something. Yeah, I would agree with that. And then Sami Zayn is going to stay on SmackDown. And the supplemental draft picks for night 2. Dana Brooke stays on Raw. The Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roods move from SmackDown to Raw. The Hurt Business, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, they stay on Raw. Jackson Riker stays on Raw. Jinder Mahal and Shanky are moving from Raw to SmackDown. Liv Morgan is going to move from SmackDown to Raw. Mia Yim is moving from NXT to Raw. Miz is staying on Raw. Natalya is going to stay on SmackDown. Shotzi Blackheart's going to stay on SmackDown. Tamina is moving from SmackDown to Raw. Tegan Nox is also moving from SmackDown to Raw. And Veer is going to stay on Raw. That's a bit awkward, a little bit odd to me. They're splitting up Shanky, Veer, and Jinder Mahal. They're keeping 2 on, or they're going to move 2 to SmackDown and keep 1 on Raw. That's a little weird, is it not?
Yeah, but I mean, were they really a big draw? It kind of not really.
They didn't do much. Yeah. They feuded with Drew McIntyre for like 3 weeks, and that was it.
Yeah, they're pretty much at this point. I think they're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. And then these are the current free agents. Brock Lesnar. These guys were not drafted at all, but they're free agents as of now. Brock Lesnar, Asuka, Bayley, Elias, Eva Marie, Lacey Evans, the Lucha House Party, Maurice, Shane Thorne, and Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, I mean, do any of them outside of Brock really do anything?
Not right now. I know Bayley's injured, so she can't do much. Lacey is pregnant, so she can't do much. I didn't know that Maurice was still a part of the active roster. And Shane Thorne, I don't even know what's up with that dude. So there you go.
Pretty much for me, it sounds like they just shuffled the jobbers around, basically.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see a couple of these guys on new brands. I'm looking forward to seeing Ridge Holland and Xia Li, seeing what they do. As far as Gable Stevenson, that's somebody that at first when I heard his name got drafted, I'm like, are you kidding me? Why? Why is he being a draft? I didn't even think he was a member of the roster yet, so I didn't know why. But thinking about it, he will bring a lot of media, and he'll bring a lot of other eyes to the product. So there you go.
I mean, I guess they're trying to get the eyes to the product, but I mean, it's like watching it. It's a blind eye, basically.
Yeah. Also, next week, ladies and gentlemen, next week, and I might make you watch these shows, Dustin, so that we can do a review. But next week, AEW Dynamite, or AEW, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I screwed up. AEW Rampage and Friday Night SmackDown. They're going to go head to head. SmackDown is moving from Fox to FS1 for one night because Fox will be playing baseball, I guess. And SmackDown will be airing a half hour before AEW Rampage starts. And for the last 30 minutes of SmackDown, they will be commercial free. What are your thoughts on this?
The only thing this is good for is the internet wrestling community, for all the marks on both sides to go absolutely ape shit. This is what they've all been clamoring for.
Yep. I promise you, it's not going to be as...
They're both wrestling, but they're different products altogether. It's not like it was a WCW versus Nitro versus Raw type war. They keep begging for it, and it's not going to work because the things that they did back then will not work in today's climate.
No.
And it is what it is. I mean, you're going to have your hardcore AEW fans be like, oh, yeah, AEW kicked ass. And then you're going to have the SmackDown fans. Oh, no, we told you AEW wasn't ready for this war. It's stupid.
Yeah. And Tony Khan, actually, he kind of put gasoline on the fire. He tweeted out, I saw you're doing a half-hour head-to-head with us. I can't wait to finally beat your main show head-to-head. It's been a long time coming. See you next Friday for AEW Rampage on TNT.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's as soon as AEW started, that's what everybody's wanted. So now they're gonna give it to them, and then it's gonna blow over, and it'll be like, okay, nothing spectacular. It's not gonna be what everybody thinks it's gonna be. It's really not.
Yeah, did you want to hear the card for next week for both shows?
Laid out.
Hold up a second. I've got AEW Rampage. Okay, here we go. We got some lineups for next week. So for AEW Rampage, are you ready for this?
Shoot it.
Okay. CM Punk versus Matt Seidel. Remember Evan Bourne? That's Matt Seidel. Yeah, and CM Punk's going to be facing him. Root, what's up?
I mean, that's what CM Punk laid out. Is he wanted to face some of the younger talent or some of the talent that didn't really get a push anywhere else. It just, hey, I mean,
yeah, it's something, I guess. Punk will get a victory. This will be an easy victory for him.
And let's speak on that for a second. With the whole, they keep running this undefeated streak with Punk. They had the undefeated streak. I mean, they're bringing all these people back. Former WWE stars or whatever, and it's like, oh, they're undefeated. They're undefeated. They're undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible.
It is. They're undefeated until they're not anymore, and then once they get defeated, they lose every match.
Well, and that's the thing is they build it up so much, the undefeated streaks and whatnot, that when they finally lose, then it's like there's nothing else left for them to do. I mean, okay, whoop-dee, they were undefeated for so many matches. Now they've lost. It's just like the Undertaker streak. When that one came to an end, it was like, okay, what else does he have left to accomplish? Nothing.
Right.
So there's no real meaningful thing for him in wrestling anymore.
Hey, let's predict real quick. Who's going to be the one to end CM Punk's streak?
CM Punk.
Okay, so that was one of the matches. Another match. Ruby Soho versus the Bunny. Ruby Soho is the former Ruby Riott. And the Bunny is the Bunny. Yeah.
Your expression said it all.
Yeah. What can you say about it?
I mean, not much. My thing is, I'm gonna go into it looking at it like just let it happen, let the matches flow as they flow, see what happens.
I've watched some of the Bunnies. I don't know why she's calling herself the Bunny, but I've watched a lot of her matches. I remember I've watched her matches when she was Cherry Bomb, and then when she was Allie, and she's a great performer. I love her. I love her in ring works, and she's pretty. So I'm not saying she's terrible, but to call her the Bunny, that doesn't make her come off as a credible threat.
No, when you say the Bunny, I think of Adam Rose's character.
Yes. And, look, she comes out. Yeah. No, she's been in a tag team with Penelope Ford. They've been feuding with Anna Jay and Ty Conti. So I mean, that's what she's been doing. And the last match that's scheduled for next week, Inner Circle, which is Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, and Sammy Guevara, versus Men of the Year, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, and Junior Dos Santos. So yeah, that's happening as well. This should be an easy victory for the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
And then for SmackDown, Now, this is what AEW expects to beat next week. Brock Lesnar returns. Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn in a King of the Ring semifinal. Carmella versus Zelina Vega in another King of the Ring semifinal. And Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. Which card sounds better to you?
Watching paint dry.
Of the two cards I laid out, which one would you want to watch more? And paint drying is not an option.
Well, I mean, both of them's got some attention. I mean, it's no secret I'm a CM Punk fan, no matter where he's at. So I'll catch that, and then same with Brock. Yeah, I'm a Brock fan too. So
Those are going to be the two big guys that get the views.
yeah, and that's about it basically.
Yeah, well, I think people will want to watch Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. I'm also interested in seeing Finn Balor and Sami Zayn. I don't remember a time where they ever had like a one-on-one match.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of either of those.
No? Oh.
No, never really was a Finn Balor or a Sami Zayn fan. Becky Lynch, I mean, it's Becky Lynch.
Hey, that's one other thing I wanted to discuss with you real quick before I let you go. WWE brought back King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown tournaments. Well, the Queen's Crown tournament's the first ever thing, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that? I'm gonna get these tournament brackets real quick. So for the Queen's Crown, these are the matches: Zelina Vega versus Toni Storm, Liv Morgan versus Carmella, Doudrop versus Natalia, and Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler. Zelina Vega defeated Toni Storm, and Carmella beat Liv Morgan. So that's why it's next week: Zelina Vega versus Carmella. So on Raw, you'll see Doudrop versus Natalia. And Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler. Any predictions as to who's going to win?
I see possibly Carmella going closer to the end.
That's what everybody's saying. And I don't.
But is he there again? I mean, let me shit all over WWE again.
Go right ahead. I'll shit on this too because this is. If that's what they go with, then that's stupid.
Their King of the Ring thing used to be a prestigious thing. Now, to me, it's more or less a joke. I mean, look what they did to the last King, King Corbin. And it's obvious that they take all. I mean, I'm sure there's been some King of the Rings, Macho Man or whatnot, but most anybody that wins the King of the Ring usually turns heel somehow, some way, or
yeah. This is the King of the Ring bracket. Rey Mysterio versus Sami Zayn, Cesaro versus Finn Balor, Kofi Kingston versus Jinder Mahal, and Xavier Woods versus Ricochet. And Sami Zayn beat Rey Mysterio, and Finn Balor beat Cesaro. So that's happening next week. Yeah.
Prediction on that one's going to be Xavier Woods.
Yeah, I could see Xavier Woods, King Xavier. Give him something because I mean both of his buddies are former WWE champions. Xavier kind of needs something too.
Yeah.
Hey, what are your thoughts on WWE going to Saudi Arabia? What are your thoughts on that?
Following the money. I mean, that's realistically all it is. I think it's a waste of a show to have the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns Saudi Arabia thing.
But they're also having a Hell in a Cell match in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the money. They pretty much let the blood money tell them what they want, and then WWE bows down to it and gives them what they want.
Yeah, so. See, I wouldn't. I mean, I have my own thoughts on the blood money thing. I'm against Saudi Arabia. I'm against going over there. Especially after what happened last time they went over there. There were so many stories of wrestlers that were in fear of their lives. I mean, you're going to do this again to them?
Well, yeah, because it's the bottom dollar is all Vince McMahon sees. He doesn't care about wrestlers' lives. He just cares about the dead presidents on the money.
I bet. And how much would I bet that Tony Khan had that same opportunity? He would do that to his wrestlers.
Well, I mean, if we think about it, I mean, they're businessmen. Of course, that's going to be that's their only thing they see is the money. I mean, that's why they're millionaires and billionaires.
Yeah. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was the week in review, pretty much. Next week, stay tuned, because next week we're going to be covering, Dustin, and I haven't told you this yet, but fire up your WWE Network and get it ready, because we're going to go all the way back to 2003, and we're going to talk about WrestleMania 19. Do you remember that WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to fire up our WWE networks. We're going to watch that this week. And then next Sunday, hopefully next Sunday, we will be reviewing it. So stay tuned for that. Hey, make sure to like this video and subscribe to us if you're not already subscribed. And you better subscribe to us, because if you don't, Dustin, tell them what happens.
Rikishi's going to give you a stink face.
Facts. That's true. So you better subscribe, or Rikishi will come see you. And you don't want Rikishi to come see you.
I did it for the Rock.
I did it for the people. I did it for the Not Dead podcast. No, I'm sorry, that's a bad impression. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that bad impression. But I do not apologize for this. I'm Cybermania. He's Dustin. We're signing out, and we'll see you guys next week. Deuces.